Good morrow, scholars. I'm sorry about yesterday. Pokemon Go has taken over my life, and I spent all morning running around chasing after Pokemon. I feel bad. I don't really regret my decision. What I regret is that I did not plan ahead to have a video set to go for yesterday. I hope you can forgive me, and maybe I'll have two of these today. I don't know. Anyway, we are in chapter 44, Sam, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, page 285. You guys doing okay? You playing Pokemon Go? What Pokemon are near you if you are? Anyway, it sounds stupid, but one of the things that I loved about Grace was how she didn't have to talk. Sometimes I just wanted my silences to stay silent, full of thoughts, empty of words. Where another girl might have tried to lure me into conversation, Grace just reached for my hand, resting our knotted hands on my leg, and leaned her head against my shoulder until we were well out of Duluth. She didn't ask how I knew my way around the city, or when my eyes lingered on the road that my parents used to turn down to get to our neighborhood, or how it was that a kid from Duluth ended up living in a wolf pack near the Canadian border. And when she did finally speak, taking her hand off mine to retrieve a buttercream from the candy shop bag, she told me about how, as a kid, she'd once made cookies with leftover boiled Easter eggs instead of raw ones. It was exactly what I wanted. Beautiful distraction. Until I heard the musical tone of a cell phone, a descending collection of digital notes coming from my pocket. For a second, I couldn't think of why a phone would be in my coat, and then I remembered Beck stuffing it into my hand when I stared past him. "Call me when you need me," was what he had said to me. Funny how he said when, not if. Is that a phone? Grace's eyebrows drew down over her eyes. "You have a phone?" Beautiful distraction crashed around me as I dug it out of my pocket. "Really sorry. I was up until about 3:30 in the morning, and I woke up at 9:30, and I'm recording this not soon after, so I'm a little dazed." "I didn't," I said weakly. She kept looking at me, and the little bit of hurt in her eyes killed me. Shame colored my cheeks. "I just got one," I said. The phone rang again, and I hit the answer button. I didn't have to look at the screen to know who was calling. "Where are you, Sam? It's cold." Beck's voice was full of the genuine concern that I'd always appreciated. I was aware of Grace's eyes on me. I didn't want his concern. "I'm fine." Beck paused, and I imagined him dissecting the tone of my voice. "Sam, it's not so black and white. Try to understand. You won't even give me a chance to talk to you. When have I ever been wrong?" "Now," I said, and hung up. I shoved the phone back in my pocket, half expecting it to ring again. I sort of hoped it would so that I could not answer it. Grace didn't ask who it was. She didn't ask me to tell her what was said. Sorry. I knew she was waiting for me to volunteer the information, and I knew I should, but I didn't want to. I just couldn't bear the idea of her seeing Beck in that light, or maybe I just couldn't bear the idea of me seeing him in that light. I know how that is. I didn't say anything. My nose itches. Grace swallowed before pulling out her own phone. "That reminds me, I should check for messages." Huh, as if my family would call. She studied her cell phone. Its blue screen lit up the palm of her hand and cast a ghostly light on her chin. That sounds spooky. "You guys gonna go see the Ghostbusters movie when it comes out?" I'm really disappointed in people that they're hating on it so much because it's a cast of female characters rather than male characters. I'm sure the movie will be fine. I'm probably gonna enjoy it. I'm taking my mom to go see it. Anyway. Where was I? Oh, did they? I asked. Of course not. They're rubbing elbows with old friends. I've never understood that phrase. I don't stand that close to people. Where was I? She punched in their number and waited. I heard a murmur on the other end of the phone, too quiet for me to make out. Hi, it's me. Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, okay. I won't wait up then. Have fun. Bye. She slapped the phone shut. You know, for the longest time I had a flip phone, and I did not get rid of it because I didn't want to. And then about 2 years ago, no, it'd be about 3.5 now. I lose track of time. I finally upgraded to a smartphone. I'm glad I did for the sake of Pokemon Go. Rolled her brown eyes toward me and smiled wanly. Let's elope. We'd have to drive to Vegas, I said. No one around here will to marry us at this hour except deer and a few drunk guys. It would have to be the deer, Grace said firmly. The drunk guys would slur our names, and that would ruin the moment. Somehow having a deer preside over the ceremony of a werewolf and a girl seems oddly appropriate anyway. Grace laughed. Sorry, I'm just reminiscing. And it would get my parents' attention. Mom, Dad, I've gotten married. Don't look at me like that. He only sheds part of the year. I shook my head. I felt like telling her thanks, but instead I said, it was Beck on the phone. The Beck? Yeah. He was in Canada with Salem, one of the wolves who's gone completely crazy. It was only part of the truth, but at least it was the truth. I want to meet him, Grace said immediately. My face must have gone funny because she said, Beck, I mean, he's practically your dad, isn't he? I rubbed my fingers over the steering wheel, eyes glancing from the road to my knuckles. Pressed into a white grip. Strange how some people took their skin for granted, never thought of what it would be like to lose it. I've never understood or never figured out how to pronounce this word, so I'm gonna say slogging, because sloughing doesn't sound right. My skin escaping its grip, stripped of my wit, it hurts to be me. I thought of the most fatherly memory I had of Beck. We had this big grill at his house, and I remember one night, he was tired of doing the cooking, and he said, Sam, tonight you're feeding us. He showed me how to push the middle of the steaks to see how done they were, and how to sear them fast on each side to keep the juices in. And they were awesome, weren't they? I burned the heck out of them, I said matter of fact. I'd compare them to charcoal, but charcoal is still sort of edible. Honestly, that's how I eat mine. I like when my food fights back. Anyway, Grace started to laugh. Beck ate his, I said, smiling ruefully at the memory. He said it was the best steak he'd ever had, because he hadn't had to make it. That felt like a long time ago. Grace was smiling at me, like old stories about me and my pack leader were the greatest thing in the world. Like it was inspirational, like we had something, Beck and me, father and son. In my head, the kid at the back of the Tahoe looked at me and said, Help. Grace asked, How long has it been? I mean, not since the steaks. Since you were bitten. I was 7, 11 years ago. She asked, Why were you in the woods? I mean, you're from Duluth, aren't you? Or at least that's what it said on your driver's license. I wasn't attacked in the woods. Attacked? Yeah. It was all over the papers. Grace's eyes held me. I looked away to the dim road in front of us. 2 wolves attacked me while I was getting onto the school bus. One of them held me down, and the other one bit me. Ripped at me, really, as if its only goal had been to draw blood. But of course, that had been the goal, hadn't it? Looking back, it all seemed painfully clear. I'd never thought to look beyond my simple childhood memory of being attacked by wolves, and Beck stepping in as my savior after my parents had tried to kill me. I had been so close to Beck, and Beck had been so above reproach, that I hadn't wanted to look any deeper. But now, retelling the story, what? Grace shoved the unavoidable truth right at me. My attack had been no accident. I'd been chosen, hunted down, and dragged into the street to be infected, just like those kids in the back of the Tahoe. Later, Beck arrived to pick up the pieces. "You're the best of them," Beck's voice said in my head. He had thought I'd outlive him and take over the pack. I should have been angry, furious at having my life ripped away from me, but there was just white noise inside me, a dull hum of nothingness. That's kinda depressing. "In the city?" Grace asked. "The suburbs. There weren't any woods around. Neighbors said they saw the wolves running through their backyard to escape afterward." Grace didn't say anything. The fact that I'd been deliberately hunted felt obvious to me, and I kept waiting for her to say it. I kind of wanted her to say it, to point out the unfairness, but she didn't. I just felt her frowning at me, thinking. "Which wolves?" Grace asked, finally. "I don't remember. One of them might have been Paul, because one of them was black. That's all I know. I'm going to assume that's racist." There was silence for several long moments, and then we were home. The driveway of the house still stood empty, and Grace blew out a long breath. I also do this. "Looks like we're on our own again," she said. "Stay here until I get the door unlocked, okay?" Grace jumped out of the car, letting in a blast of cold air that bit my cheeks. I turned the heater up as high as it would go to prepare myself for the journey inside. Leaning on the vents, feeling the heat sting my skin, I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to will myself back into the distraction I had felt earlier. Back when I was holding Grace's hand against me in the candy shop, feeling her warm body searing against mine, watching her smell the air, knowing she was smelling me. Awkward. I shivered. I didn't know if I could stand another night with her, behaving myself. No! Sorry. "Sam!" Grace called from outside. I opened my eyes, focusing on her head poking out of the cracked front door. She was trying to keep the entryway as warm as possible for me. Clever. Time to run. I don't know why I was thinking of the Joker. Shutting off the Bronco, I leaped out and bolted up the slick sidewalk, feet slipping a bit on the ice, my skin prickling and twisting. Grace slammed the door shut behind me, locking the cold outside, and threw her arms around me, lending her heat to my body. Her voice was a breathless whisper near my ear. "Are you warm enough?" My eyes, starting to adjust to the darkness in the hall, caught the glimmer of light in her eyes, the outline of her hair, the curve of her arms around me. A mirror on the wall offered a similarly... There's something wrong with me. Dim portrait of the shape of her body against mine. I let her hold me for a long moment before I said, "I'm okay. Do you want anything to eat?" Her voice sounded loud in the empty house, echoing off the wood floor. The only other sound was the air through the heating vents, a steady, low breath. I was acutely aware that we were alone. I swallowed. "I want to go to bed." She sounded relieved. "I do too." I almost regretted that she agreed with me, because maybe if I'd stayed up, eaten a sandwich, watched TV, something, I could have distracted myself from how badly I wanted her. Dang it, Sam. But she hadn't disagreed, kicking off her shoes behind the door. Oh, goodness. Oh, man, I'm tired. She padded down the hallway in front of me. We slipped into her dark bedroom, no light but the moon reflecting off the thin layer of snow outside the window. The door closed with a soft sigh and a snick, and she leaned on it, her hands still on the doorknob behind her. A long moment passed before she said anything. "Why are you so careful with me, Sam Roth?" Did I mention that Raven from Teen Titans, when her civilian identity is, if I remember correctly, although this could have just been Fanon, Rachel Roth? I tried to tell her the truth. I'm not an animal. I'm not sure how he would want that to be said. Oh well. "I'm not afraid of you," she said. Wait a minute. She didn't look afraid of me. She looked beautiful, moonlit, tempting, smelling of peppermint and soap and skin. What? I'd spent 11 years watching the rest of the pack become animals, pushing down my instincts, controlling myself, fighting to stay human, fighting to do the right thing. As if reading my thoughts, she said, "Can you tell me it's only the wolf in you that wants to kiss me?" As if no, I read that. All of me wanted to kiss her hard enough to make me disappear. What? I braced my arms on either side of her head. What? The door giving out a creak as I leaned against it, and I pressed my mouth against her. Why? She kissed me back, lips hot, tongue flicking its... I hate my life. This is my punishment for not reading yesterday. Where was I? Hand still behind her, body still pressed against the door. Everything in me buzzed, electric, wanting to close the few inches of space between us. She kissed me harder, breath huffing into my mouth, and bit my lower lip. What? I really just want to skip this. Oh dear. That was amazing. I growled before I could stop myself, but before I could even think to feel embarrassed, Grace pulled her hands out from behind her and looped them around my neck, pulling me to her. Iggy, you want to give me a hand over here? Just like knock me out. The longer it takes, the more embarrassed I'm going to be. And there's only a page left. Well, a page and a third. But still. I had a dream last night. I wonder what it was. Anyway, that was so sexy, she said, voice uneven. I didn't think you could get any sexier. I will never have that problem. Not sure what that means. I kissed her again before she could say anything else, backing into the room with her, a tangle of arms in the moonlight. Her fingers hooked into the back of my jeans, thumbs brushing my hip bones, pulling me even closer to her. Oh, dear. Grace, I gasped. You greatly overestimate my self-control. I hate everything. I'm not looking for self-control. My hands were inside her shirt, palms pressed against her back, fingers spread on her sides. I didn't even remember how they got there. I don't want to do anything you'll regret. Grace's back curved against my fingers as if my touch brought her to life. Then don't stop. Why? I'd imagined her saying this in so many different ways, but none of my fantasies had come close to the breathless reality. Clumsily, we backed onto her bed, part of me thinking we should be quiet in case her parents came home. But she helped me tug my shirt over her head and ran a hand down my chest. Ay, ay, ay. Maybe I should read a Stephen King novel. Any recommendations? I've never read one. I'm a lot if I want to catch up. Anyway. Where was I? Ran a hand down my chest and I groaned, forgetting everything but her fingers on my skin. My mind searched for lyrics, words to string together to describe the moment, but nothing came. I couldn't think of anything but her palm grazing my skin. I don't know. You smell so good, Grace whispered. Every time I touch you, it comes off even stronger. Her nostrils flared, all wolf, smelling how much I wanted her, knowing what I was and wanting me anyway. She let me push her gently down onto the pillows, and I braced my arms on either side of her, straddling her in my jeep. What? Where was I? Are you sure? I asked. Her eyes were bright, excited. She nodded. I slid down to kiss her belly. It felt so right, so natural, like I'd done it 1,000 times before and would do it 1,000 times again. I saw the shiny, ugly scars the pack had left on her neck and collarbone, and I kissed them too. Grace pulled up the blankets over us, and we kicked off our clothes beneath them. As we pressed our bodies against each other, I shrugged off my skin with a growl, giving in, neither wolf nor man, just Sam. Okay, I'm gonna go curl up in the fetal position and just hang out over there with the turtles. That'll be it for now. Maybe I'll come back and read another chapter later, but I don't think so. Because I hate life. Anyway. I'm gonna go brush my teeth. Until next time, goodbye everybody.